Hello, friends, family. How are you doing? I hope everybody is doing great. It is me once more, right here again. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you once again for always being there, sharing, enjoying my content. I am deeply grateful. Most of all, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you're seeing this video for the first time, this is the right time to do that. Go ahead and thank you for doing that. And also, do check out the descriptions and see how you can support my channel in any way possible so that I can keep doing this. And today, I want to show you how to create a mouth in Moho Studio. If you have taken any of my courses or you have seen any of my videos, I have taught this time without number, but I think it is time I show you how to create a mouth on its own using smart bones. And this is how I created. There are so many other ways to do it, but this is my method. So with no further ado, let's get it started. The first thing I'll do right here is go to my tools, and let's say, for example, this is our face. All right, Ctrl Z to undo that. I want to pick a circle. So let's say this is our face. I have taught how to create a face time without number, but I'll probably do it again. So I'm hitting Ctrl P on my keyboard to make this point sharpen, or pointy rather. And let's just say, for example, this is our face. So I'll put a color there to make it much more interesting to look at. All right, then we have, I'll pick a circle again. So I just want to make this much more realistic so that you understand it much more better. So we'll create this, we'll make it the eyes. All right, and Ctrl C, Ctrl V, I will drag that to this other side. Oh, before I do that, let me put in the eyeballs. Yeah, so I'll make it black and I'll draw my eyeballs in here. All right, so I'll Ctrl C, Ctrl O, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, then I drag this to this side. So we have our eyes, and maybe we'll just make this our nose. Okay, then I will create shape. So we have our nose here, probably drag it to the top. All right, then now to create our mouth. I guess this is a very scary looking character, but anyways, okay, so now we have our character here looking very sharp and scary and so on. Maybe I'll just cover the eyeballs so that the character is not looking shocked or something. So I'll just create another vector and drag it in here, and this is what we have, like this. The reason I'm showing you this could also give you ideas on how to create characters, isn't it? All right, so I would drag this to the top, let's say around here. Then I will use my hide edge tool and hide the edges and leave just the one at the bottom. And then I will just probably highlight both parts here and just use my curvature tool and just straighten it out a bit, and copy that, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, then I drag it to this other part. So our character looks much more better and cartoony. He's not looking so shocked. Anyway, let's focus on the mouth, isn't it? So this is our jaw. Maybe we'll just make it a little bit roundy and not so pointy. So the next thing you want to do right here is you probably go to a different layer to create your mouth. All right, wow, the character looks cool. So now we'll draw out our mouth. So what is the first thing the mouth has? We have the lips, we have the back of the mouth, and we have the teeth, and we have the tongue, if you want to put a tongue anyway. So let's draw out the lips first. So I will do like this. This is how I draw my lips, very simple. Then I'll make sure I adjust all the points to fit the mouth. So you can do a wide mouth if you want, and you can do a simple mouth. So at that point I'll hit Ctrl P, and at this point I'll hit Ctrl P also, and at this middle point, after adjusting it, I can hit Ctrl P to make it much more beautiful, and at this point also I can hit Ctrl P, and at this point I can hit Ctrl P. So we have our mouth. But if you want it rounded, it's still up to you. You can take your curvature tool here, highlight this point, and make it much more rounded if you want. So what I'll do next is I'll hit that, control all that lips, then control C, control V, then I'll flip it to the other side and rotate it to the bottom, so I have something like this. Alright, then the next thing I'll do is make sure both lips, the bottom lip and the top lip, are well aligned. This is the first thing for you to do. Okay, so if you see right here, we have our lips all worked out properly, and if the lips are too big, you can as well go ahead and adjust them. Make sure you adjust it to the size you want. So let's say we want a smaller lips, something like this, so he looks much more beautiful. I don't know, whatever you are going for. And also take note of the line that you have here. If your width is too big, you can quickly reduce it, but if it's not, you just let it be. So we'll be letting it be as it is here. And you can also go ahead and change the lip color if you want. We could change it to pink or whatever. Let's change the bottom one to probably pink, right? So, and the top one to be a lighter pink or a darker pink. I think it should be much more lighter, so it just has this different shade. Anyway, you get the idea. Alright, so it's now looking more like a lady and not a guy. So the next thing for you to do is you name this layer, you call it lip, L-I-P. Yeah, so within this layer now, you now have to put in the tooth and also the back of the mouth and also a tongue. So how do you do that? The next thing for you to do is you can either do this on this same layer, or you go to a different layer and do it and cut it and bring it back here. So let me show you what I mean. So I'll just create a new layer here, and I'll draw the back of the mouth like this. So the reason why I'm doing this in a different layer, I'll make it black, is because I don't want a clash of vectors while I'm drawing here. Okay, and you can also do this in different layers, but I like to do them in the same layer. It's all the same. So I'll Control P here, I'll hit this, I'll hit Control P, and I'll adjust the mouth properly to fit in to this place and add the necessary points. Control Z. So I'll zoom in and I'll add the necessary points. You want to make sure you have enough points to play around with, so that when you are creating when you're adding bones, excuse me, so that when you're adding smart bones, you can actually manipulate your vector layer properly, so you won't be lacking points to manipulate your vector layer. Okay, so we'll adjust this so it fits the mouth properly. All right, okay, so what I will do right now is I'll go ahead and copy this, Control X, and I'll come to the lips here and I paste Control V. Alright, so the next thing I'll do is I'll come to my select shape tool here. I'll hit that point and I'll go to draw and I'll lower to the back. So you could see how the back of the mouth is not actually behind. So with this being done, you can let this could be the mouth that you want, but we want to add some tooth and a tongue. So we'll go ahead and also draw out our tooth here. So all you have to do is just draw a rectangle. You can go ahead and make your tooth much more realistic if you want, but I'm just going to make it simple for this simple tutorial. Alright, so we'll make that white, and this is our tooth. So we'll just adjust the points properly. So make sure you have like 2 points at the bottom and maybe at the top just one. So this point at the bottom will help you, 2 or 3 points at the bottom, so that you can adjust your tooth whenever you want to. All right, so because you have something like this inside the mouth, so when we highlight all of them, we'll have something like this. Okay, then you Control C, Control V, then you flip it, then you bring it to the bottom. All right, now this is your tooth. Okay, so while we are creating the smart bones, we'll be adjusting this as we want. To smile, to open his teeth, to say the letter T, and so on and so forth. All right, so we have our tooth, so we'll just copy this like we did before. Ctrl C, or Ctrl X rather, then Ctrl V. Now I'm pasting it on the lip layer. Okay, so what I will do right here is I will just highlight the lips alone, holding shift. So I'll cut that and paste it. So now the lips is on the tooth, is in front of the tooth. And I can also do that with lowering the tooth. I can highlight that tooth and I'll come to lower shape. So let me undo that. That's one way. There are different ways of doing this stuff. So I can use my select shape tool. I hold this, then I'll lower shape. All right, so now the tooth is behind, and I come here and do the same, lower shape. So now the tooth is behind the mouth. So I'll come here again and create my tongue. So I'll create something like this, which is supposed to be pinkish or reddish, don't know, something like that. I think this is like a tongue color. And I will remove my width and probably add a couple of points so that I could manipulate the tongue when I want to. I think this is okay. And I'll cut that and I'll go to the lips and I'll paste it here. Then I could just, you know, do the same thing, highlight it and lower shape. And that's all I have to do. So you could see this. So when I come to my lips here, and let's say I select the lip shape, then I drag it out, so you could see everything is perfect. All right, so if I do the same thing here, you could see, so now you could see the teeth, the tongue is a little bit above the first teeth, is behind this teeth and above this one. So if you want the tongue to be behind both, the same thing, you can go ahead and reduce and send to the back rather, lower shape. So now the tongue is behind both tooth, right? And you have your lips in front, then you have the back of the mouth. So everything is set and we can start creating the mouth with smart bones. All right, so what I'll do is that I'll bring this back in here and I'll bring this, highlight this and bring this back here. All right, so we have our complete mouth. The next thing for us to do is add our bones. All right, so for you to add bones, I guess this shouldn't be something new to you. All you have to do is put this character, let me delete this layer. So you put the character into a folder and convert it to bones, and so that you'll be able to add bones to it. But you can also add bones to only the lips if you want. But the reason I'm showing you this is so that in case you are creating a full character and you don't want to rig the lips differently from the face, this is how you do it. All right, so let's go. So we'll highlight the face and this will group with selection. Then we'll call this face. And the next thing for you to do is left click and convert to bone. All right, so now that you've converted into bone, when you go to your tools area, what you see your bone tools, and these are the tools we'll be using to create this. So the first thing we have to do is for the lips. If you are creating your character, that means you have to have I said you have to have, funny, that means already you might have boned your character. So that means let's just pretend that we are boning this character and we are moving along with it, isn't it? So I'll add my first parent bone, then I'll add the head bone. All right, then before I add the lips bone. So with this I will highlight both bones, then probably reduce them, then I will bind this bone to the head. All right, so this is my bone strength, I have reduced that, and this is everything. So the head now, I will go to my head layer. Let me call this head so you don't get confused. H-E-A-D. So I'll go to my head layer and I'll come to bind, then I'll bind it to the bone. You already know this. So if you haven't taken any of my courses or haven't been watching all my videos, go to the playlist right now and check out the playlists that have a lot of YouTube courses. I have them aligned. You will learn how to do this properly if this is your first time. And if you want more insight, please check the description and get the course. The course is so cheap. It's the cheapest animation course out there, so get it. You are helping me to help you, learn animation, and you are helping my channel grow at the same time. God bless you. So moving further, so you see we have bonded rather the bone to the face. So we'll go to the lips also and bind it to the face, to the bone rather. Then we'll go to the face and everything is working properly from now. If we use our manipulate bone tool, you could see the head and everything is functioning properly. So the next thing for us to do now is go ahead and add our lip bone. So for us to add our lip bone, we have to deselect every bone that is here and go ahead and add a fresh new bone. So maybe we'll call this bone open and close. Alright, so once you add a bone, drop down the bone strength by going to your bone strength and making it 0, or just come here and just type in 0 and hit enter, and you go to your actions right now. If your actions is not as aligned as mine here is, you go to window and you will see your actions here, and you make sure you toggle this action point here, or you hit Ctrl K on your keyboard. Look at it here, and this is your action folder rather, will I call that right now, will come up, and that is where you have to add your smart bone. So once you go to your action folder, what you have to do right now is come to new action, add new action, then you name that bone. So before you do that, you have to come to your bone tool here and select that bone. Once that bone is selected, so you give that bone a name. So we'll call this open and close. Then we hit enter. So that name is the name that you have to add to the action layer here. So you could see once I click new action, you could see the bone here open and close. So we hit OK. And the next thing for us to do is move. Once you hit OK, you see this whole layer will turn blue. This timeline rather turns blue. So what you have to do is move further, say 48, 72, or even 24 if you want, but I like 48 because it's like a standard. Then the next thing for you to do is come to your bone transform tool here and raise the bone up like this. Alright, so I had not added any constraint initially, but you can go ahead and add a constraint if you want. So I can go back to my main line here. Before we do all this, I go to my select bone here and go to bone constraint and hit angle bone constraint, and I can make this 90 or 70 if I want. So let me just make this 90 and here 90. So you can see what is happening here. We have our bone constraint. That is where the bone you can raise the bone up onto, and it doesn't move more than that part. And if you don't have that, you have your bone going in 360 depending on what you are creating anyway. So let's focus on the mouth rather. So I'll go back to my action here, double click on your action here, then we'll go to frame 48 so you could see how I have arranged it before. I used my transform bone tool here to bring this to this point. Alright, then if I have done that on the face bone layer itself, then I will go into the lips right now and start making the necessary adjustments. So all I have to do right here is select my lips. Let's zoom in properly so that you see this. I will use my select draw tool here and select the lips and hold shift and drag this to the top, and I'll select the bottom lip, hold shift, drag it to the bottom. Alright, so you can see what we are doing right now is that we are opening the mouth. Then the next thing for me to do is I will drag this point here and this point here to this point. Alright, so this is what I will do, like this, and I'll drag this here, drag this here. So what we are trying to do is to keep the mouth open, but yet and still making sure the proportions are the same. All right, so while the lips open up like this, we'll now adjust this part as we deem fit. All right, so when the lips open, this point doesn't stick or hold as it used to be when the lips is shut. So we'll now bring this up here a bit to show that the lips is opening up. So when this goes down, this is how it is, and when it opens up, this is how it is. So we'll now go to the back of the mouth and adjust it and cover up these spaces in between. Like I said before, there are different ways of creating your mouth, and this is one method. So maybe on a different video I will show you a different way to create this, or if you go to other people's channel, you'll see different ways of creating the mouth. But this is how I have come to create my mouth most of the time, and it eases up things for me. Okay, so with the mouth created like this, the next thing for us to do is to arrange the tooth. So when the mouth opens, you don't see much of the tooth, do you? You only see like a little part of the top tooth and a little part of the bottom tooth, something like this. So I'll reduce this. Just make sure you are hiding all the parts properly, they are not falling out of the mouth. All right, then this is the tongue, which will drag down to this point, and probably reduce it to somewhere here. So we have something like this. So if we render this out real quickly, Control R, so you could see this is your character's mouth widely opened. All right, so now if you also want the mouth to move along with the face, that is the jaw, what you have to do now, at this same point you come to the head. All right, and oh, sorry about that, go to your select tool, drag out, pick the point here, the jaw most especially. But if you have points that shows the face from where the jaw starts from, for this character the jaw starts from this point, which is here and there, but you just select the points where you want to move to show the mouth is moving, then you hold shift and just drag it down a bit. All right, so when this goes back up, so you see the face now starts moving with the mouth. What? And it closes back. All right, this is how you create it. So let me undo that real quickly and just drag just this jaw to the bottom, something like this. All right, so when we take it back, this is what we have. Just a little movement could really show that your character is realistic per se. Okay, you don't really need it to be very obvious. All right, moving forward. Now this is all you do for creating, when creating your mouth rather. Then you go ahead and create this is the R sound, then you create the O sound, then you create the T sound, then you create whichever other type of mouth what will I call it now, expression you want, and you go ahead, and that is how you have different bones for different expressions, and you now mix that into your animation. So with no long talk, let's go ahead and create it. So we'll come here, double click on your main line and go back to your face character, and let's test out this. So we see it's working perfectly well. We have all right, so that is mouth open, and when it comes back down we have our mouth closed. So let's create the sound. Okay, what about bottom here? Bottom here, now what I usually do when it comes to the bottom, I create the O sound. So I'll go ahead right now, same bone, I'll hit it, and you see open and close 2. Then I'll hit that, and I'll come to frame 48, and I'll drag this to the bottom. Then I'll go to my lips again, and I'll do the same thing we did before. I'll come to my select bone tool and select this, drag it to the top a bit here, then I'll select this also, drag it to the bottom a bit, then I will select the points here, drag it to this point, select this point, drag it to this point, select this point, drag it to this point. When I have that, I know that everything is properly adjusted. Then I will drag the tongue down to the bottom, because we want to make the O sound, so the tongue is not supposed to be seen in any way, and also the tooth it's not supposed to be seen in any way. So I'll reduce it like this, and I'll do the same thing for the top tooth. Drag, reduce, and I'll hide it in. Then I'll adjust the back of the mouth real quickly. Then we'll make the mouth to look like an O sound. If you don't want to go through too much stress, you can also leave it like this, but if you want it to be really good, this is how you do it. Okay, so I'll adjust the lips now to make it sound more O-ish, so that you get the feel of an O when the character makes an O sound. Alright, so something like this. So we can also go ahead and bring this in, because once you make the O sound, the lips becomes much more smaller and enclosed, isn't it? So we have something like this. So let's reduce, make sure you are keen to details, and make sure none of the other parts of the mouth is falling out, otherwise you have to go back and adjust them properly. So we have an O sound. So this is an O sound, and if you want to go ahead also, like I said before, you adjust the face and just bring this down a bit, and that is all you have. And when you double click on your main line, this is what you have. You have this, and you have this, you have this, and you have this, you have this, and you have this. So if you want your character to speak, you are speaking like this, and you have your character doing O. You mean that? So now why don't we have, now if you notice, our tongue is there, and you can use this as your air sound if you want while creating your animation. And we can go ahead and add a new bone and create a th sound and other expressions that we want. So if you want to do that, you make sure none of the bones are highlighted. So you use your select bone rather, and click on the surface of your draw area and make sure none of the bones are selected. Then you go ahead and add a new bone, and this new bone, we'll call it maybe T. Alright, maybe just a T for that. Then we'll go to, make sure you drop the bone strength real quickly, then you add your bone constraint if you want. Then you go ahead and hit close, and you go to your action and you see your T there, and you hit OK. Then you move a couple of frames forward as you want, then you hit up at the same time. Then you go to the lips and you do the same thing we did initially. Really simple, isn't it? Very simple, I must say. It's not a hard thing to do. Then you select that, you take it to the top, then you select this also, you drag to the bottom, and all you have to do is now adjust the edges real quickly, like this, like this, like this. Take note, you can adjust this in any other way you want. It is your business. Okay, so once we're making a T sound, our lips shouldn't be that high up, isn't it? So we'll have something like this, and we'll adjust the back of the mouth real quickly and easy. Then the thing we are working with here, most importantly, is our teeth. So we'll highlight the teeth and we'll drag it to this point and make sure that it's very visible to alright, so we're making these adjustments real quickly. Okay, then we'll do the same thing for the bottom tooth like this, and we'll make more adjustment here and bring it to the top. So we have this T. And what we have to do now is bring the tongue to the back and hide it. So we'll select the tongue. Come on. Let me use this. Okay, alright, it's selected already, so we'll just drag it to the bottom and hide it at the bottom of everything. So while that is done, we'll select the tooth and adjust it properly. So we have, so when adjusting the tooth, just make sure there's a little space in between, so it feels like as if there's a line, so you can tell the difference. Alright, so we have our T. Okay, so we can reduce the lips if we want. Make sure you're adjusting the lips properly so it doesn't look a bit off. Alright, let's reduce this. Alright, I think this looks much more better. And we'll go ahead to the head also and adjust this. So I'll go back to our main line, double click on the main line, I'll go back to the face, and we have this. All right, so you can see we can mix both the mouth open and the at the same time while creating our animation. And this is how you create your mouth. This is how you create your mouth in Moho Studio, and you can go ahead and add a smile. And also, so let me quickly add a smile so that you see how it's done. So I will just quickly use this same thing for the bottom, and I'll just hit OK. So we have T2, so I'm creating a new action, and I'll hit OK. Then I'll go to 48 and I'll create this, and I'll bring it to the bottom. And but I don't advise you to mix your phonemes with other expressions. Create phonemes for phonemes and create expressions for expressions. So you have bones that are basically expressions, and you have bones that are basically phonemes. So but for this tutorial I'm just showing you how it's done, so you have a very good understanding of it. But if you are very good with animations, you can mix them as much as you want, so you will not be confused. But if you're a beginner, I advise you do them all differently. All right, so doing this right now, I'll just go to my lips and just select it, probably this part like this, and zoom in and just drag it to the top like this, just creating a funny looking smile. Then I bring all this in and hide them back to where they are, and boom, that is all you have for a smile. I double click on the main line and I go back to the face. So we now have this, then we have a smile, then we have mouth open. All right, then we have mouth close at the middle, this point here. Then we'll bring this down. So you always make sure you bring your bones back to their 0 point, so you know that that is where the mouth is closed. And all you have to do is just create your animations, and boom, that is it. So if you have any questions on how to do this, let me know in the comments below. I'll be glad to always help you whenever and however. And also do check the descriptions and support me whichever way you can by getting my courses and donating if you want, whatever. I'm just saying, help me help you create more content that will help you improve your animation game. And if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask. I will see you in the next video. Remain blessed and have a wonderful day ahead, and stay safe. Please stay safe.